Pay me, pay me, pay me my silver now. Pay me or go to jail. Pay me my silver now.
Morning, Bix Weir, roadtoreal.com with your morning horn of Z's. Yeah, I don't do that anymore. I don't say that anymore. I don't know why. Anyway, it is morning. Lots going on in silver. We'll get that in a second. First, make sure you listen to the Jenny Moonstone Cliff High interview. Go to Patreon, Jenny Moonstone. She posted this free for everybody, but I highly suggest becoming a member. Probably the best channel on Patreon. It's like $17 a month. Anyway, but it's free. This discussion with Cliff, great stuff. They get really deep, deeper than I ever get, and I love it. Absolutely. Go check it out. Also going on. Here we go. So yesterday I posted this. This used to be, I did it about 2 weeks ago. It was a private road discussion about the announcement coming that will really change everything about silver. I don't know if once the announcement's made, the world will suddenly open their eyes to say, oh my God, there's not enough silver to save the world. But that is what the announcement's going to be. The UN COP, was it COP 28 or something like that? The UN climate meeting, climate change conference. Remember who's in charge? The lefties are in charge of the world right now. This is looking at the Paris Agreement on climate change and saying we need to triple what we're already doing. Let's all say it together. Triple. And these are governments that are signing agreements together. Not only are they signing agreements to triple electric car production, solar power production, triple. Not only are they signing agreements, they're going to fund it all too. So governments are going to print money to save the world with their green energy. And oh, by the way, all the failing companies right now, the green energy, because it's really not a moneymaker, are going to get all bailed out and fully funded to change the world. What's wrong with the picture? There's not enough silver to last months, much less years. They want to triple it by 2030. There's not enough silver, and very soon everybody in the world is going to find that out. Now, why aren't people screaming about it now? Because the price is rigged. The price is rigged right now below the moving averages. Why do you think the price of silver's, it was running today and it stopped at $23.18? Why? Because that's where the moving averages are. Silver has nothing to do with supply and demand right now on the COMEX, the criminal exchange run by the United States of America. Oh, by the way, if you're looking for continual crypto breakouts, do not let the COMEX and the criminals start an ETF. A Bitcoin ETF is the worst possible thing for Bitcoin. I hope everybody understands that. And I know 90% of the people don't. That's the sad thing. You don't want an ETF. Why? It's a derivative of silver. All they're going to use it for is the same thing they use SLV for. To rig the price of silver. Create artificial demand. Can you imagine if the 480 million ounces of physical silver that people invested in SLV was actually in their own possession? The price of silver would be what? Oh, God. Name your price. $5, $6, $7, $8, $9, $10,000 an ounce? Where it should be? So no, ETFs are the worst thing you can possibly imagine for a standalone asset. It's fine for stocks and bonds. Those are already derivatives. But for a standalone asset with no third-party risk, you're going to add third-party risk, and who's managing that risk? BlackRock? Are you kidding me? Just a note on that. I'll talk about it in a second. But silver, yes. Silver moved up to right at the moving averages and stopped. You can see it right here in this chart. Here's the moving averages. The 200 and 100 day, these are the most important moving averages. It's right there, right on the brink. And what happens when it crosses the moving averages? Then it starts to run, and all the shorts have to try to cover, and that's when the big bankers short. The big bankers meaning Bank of America, JP Morgan, BlackRock. I know they're not a bank, so they don't have to report, but they're a massive silver rigger. Goldman Sachs, Citibank, the three big banks that are messing with the silver price are obviously JP Morgan's the ringleader. Bank of America did on the surface, it looks like the stupidest deal in history, a 1.2 billion ounce lease of JP Morgan silver. I believe that was required by the lawsuit because it had to disgorge itself of all the gains that they made from rigging the silver market, which means they had to get rid of that 1.2 billion ounces that they had in inventory. And it went through Bank of America with a fixed purchase price lease, meaning it was sold. But JP Morgan already booked the gain. That's what you have to do when you lease something with a fixed back end. You have to book the gain when you make the lease. If they didn't have a fixed back end, JP Morgan wouldn't have had to book the gain. But they booked the gain the same year as they took the $920 million hit for the regulatory fine. And the gain was $1 billion. Now, I don't know if it's for all the silver, but gold was in that too. So it's some massive operation going on right now. I believe all that silver is gone, most likely at the U.S. Mint. Because Ventris Gibson, the head of the Mint, has been saying for years now that they've greatly expanded Silver Eagle production, even though they're still at less than half of what their production was in 2013, 14, 15 timeframe. This is all going on behind the scenes. And just remember that. But this is the end game. We are not at the beginning of, we're going to take down the silver manipulators. This is an end of 170-year price suppression. That's a long time. And if you hold a beach ball and you go deeper and deeper and deeper under the water, when you let it go, it explodes out through the moving averages, shall we say. So yes, I'm excited about this move above with the moving averages. Yes, they can click a mouse and set the price to minus $40 like they did with oil, because these prices that you see mean nothing. They have nothing to do with silver. 100% to do with control by the U.S. Fed, the regulators, the CFTC, the COMEX, which is owned by the CME Group, one of the most criminal organizations on the planet. And this is, people have known this for so long, but we are at that end game. I believe they're running out of silver, and it shows in all the data. But the reason for today's huge jump, and you can see it right here in the 1 day, that's pretty. That's really pretty. But you can see right here, somebody's got the power, that little green line. Somebody had the power to say, okay, I'm not messing around now. I'm going to make the price run. Maybe they've loaded up all the silver they want. It's not free trading, mind you. This is the COMEX. Nothing has to do with the free trading, willing buyer, willing seller. But this was the excuse. You always need an excuse when things happen. CPI unexpectedly misses across the board. Core inflation lowest in 2 years. They're saying, okay, they're going to stop raising interest rates. So they let the money printing continue. The Fed, I think, is at that point. We're better off having a blow-off top where you blow off the top of the stock market. It goes to 100,000, 200,000, 500,000, $1 million. I'll just blow that up instead of having it crash to zero. I think they're going to do both. I think the derivative market assures us there is a crash coming. And it is going to be massive. And it will take out the largest holders of derivatives, which will take out everybody else. No, your money in a 401k will be gone. Your money in a credit union, gone. And people always ask me about credit unions. Go to your credit union and say, are you fractionally reserved? If everybody came in today to take their money out, would you be able to give them their money? The answer is no. They're just like every other bank, although they usually don't trade deeply in derivatives. But that doesn't matter. Even banks that don't trade in derivatives will be destroyed by the crashing of the derivatives because all the counterparties get destroyed. And then everybody runs to the bank. Everybody's going to run to their credit union. Everybody's going to run to any safe deposit box and pull all their money out and get it in their own possession. Now is the time not to have any third party between you and your assets. I know, I'm a broken record. I hear that all the time. I've been hearing it for 20 years. But I'd rather warn you now than if you're like 10 seconds too late, it's over. You're not going to be able to get those assets. It's over. So I am very proud of the fact that I have gotten a lot of people to get their assets in their own possession and continue to hold them in their own possession. Because what is coming has never been seen in the history of humanity. We've never been on an unbacked fiat monetary system where A single currency is the world's reserve currency, the US dollar, which we all know is abused massively. Listen to Catherine Austin Fitts. It's like $100 trillion worth of bonds that are unaccounted for. I've been saying for years that the United States of America and almost every country on the planet is just printing money like it's going ass down. They're just not telling anybody. Oh, you need 10 billion for that project? Just go build it. We'll do a little side. We'll mark it on our side books. That type of thing. It's obvious. There's nothing attached to currencies except computer market rigging, invented by Alan Greenspan in the early 1970s and implemented through all the feds and the treasuries ever since. And it continues today. Unbacked fiat money, untethered to anything. Never before has humanity gone to a situation. Currencies have collapsed. The Weimar Republic, Venezuela, you name it, Argentina, but never has the entire globe collapsed at the same time. That's different. And that's what we're headed into. That's why we came down here on planet Earth to do what we're doing right now. We wanted to experience something that has never been experienced by humanity. It's exciting, horrifying for most people, probably for all people. But do you really want to pass on the slavery that we're in right now to your kids? No. Take care of the problem, be adults, and move on. So what's going on with the banks right now? They're scared shitless about this. They're scared shitless about this. They're scared shitless. They're happy that they think everything's going to return to normal if the Fed stops raising rates. No, it's not even going to be close. Really interesting. You look at the short-term parking for reserves. This chart it tells you basically. This is the repo market. Look at that. It just massively increased. But then what happened after that? Oh, shoot. Did I have that? Here we go. See what's happening here? Now, it is not a coincidence that this started right when the silver squeeze started. The reverse repos, where the banks put all their cash in the bank to earn, 5-6%, right? They're putting all their cash in the bank, so much so on reverse repos. And then they're getting the treasuries from the government. And now it's reversed. Ever since the beginning of 2023, we peaked out in like March, right when the banks started going down. That's when all the banks needed more cash because they cannot stop a run on the bank. We saw that with Silicon Valley Bank and all those. What was it? Republic Bank. All the banks that crashed at the beginning of the year, that's when the banks started pulling cash out of the reverse repo. This was all planned. And now they are pulling so much cash out. They went from $2.5 trillion of cash held at the Fed, and now they're just bleeding it down, and they're under $1 trillion now, I believe, or right around $1 trillion. And it's going to go faster and faster and faster. And then, like right now, at this moment, even though they've pulled out $1.5 trillion in cash, they still can't cover what's about to happen. Watch if It's a Wonderful Life. Your money's in Joe's house and Fred's house. Now it's your money's in this derivative and that derivative. Your money went to the Ukraine to fund the Democratic Party through FTX. That's where your money is. Oh, by the way, that's where your tax money went too. If you're tired of paying taxes, just think of all the taxes that we pay. We pay tax on tax on tax, not just income tax. There's property tax. It's so much tax. Every time you buy something, you have to pay a tax. Sales tax, gas tax, electricity tax, tax. And where did all that money go? It got funneled through the Ukraine, through FTX, into the Democratic Party, into the deep state. Probably both parties, truthfully. I'm not a fan of either party. Anyway, all right, moving on. Something interesting is going on. We're at, for the last 2 months, we're bumping around 87-1 gold-silver ratio. That gold-silver ratio, listen to the Cliff High Jenny Moonstone discussion about the gold-silver ratio. I had this discussion with Jenny a long time ago, and I can give you a million reasons why it should be 1-to-1 now, or better. silver should be more valuable than gold. And it will be when it's freely traded. I just want to point out gold futures, and I wrote this down. If you look at gold futures, this is the COMEX gold trading back and forth. They trade about 20 million ounces a day of gold. That's massive amounts. That's like $40 billion a day in gold. That $40 billion would buy up every last ounce of physical silver known in all the ETFs and everything. Just $40 billion. And it's traded in a single day on the COMEX in gold, which is really interesting because when you look at who's participating in the gold market, it's like 50 banks, all the big names. And you look at silver, it's like nobody anymore. Silver is like a ghost town. And I was looking at this. Look at the deliveries are literally falling off to nothing on the COMEX because COMEX is a criminal exchange. Now, a lot of them went over to London for delivery, but that's even stopped. You look at Harvey Organ's blog. We're looking at could be the lowest exchange for physical month in history. Could be. Only halfway through the month, you're at 15 million ounces. I mean, this has been up to 200 million ounces. What does this tell me? It tells me even London is running out of physical silver. The COMEX is already out. It's just for show. And you can tell by the numbers. I mean, we used to have 60, 70 million ounce silver delivery months, and now nothing. I mean, the biggest one was September, and that's at 14 million. And these are just nothing. There's just no silver to be had. So keep that in mind. All right. Yesterday, I posted this, right? This is the climate change stuff. This is massive. These announcements are going to be massive. This is in Wall Street Journal today. Now, you're going to hear all kinds of conflicting reports. I've been hearing for a month now, all the green energy, they're all going bankrupt. They're all going bankrupt. Bix, they're not going to use silver because all these companies are going bankrupt. It's exactly the opposite. They had to tell you that. They had to tell you they're all going under because you have to save the world. If you have to save the world, you have to save the companies that will build the equipment to save the world. You have to bail out every solar producer to save the world. You have to bail out every electric vehicle producer to save the world. And here we go. Finally, they're showing their cards. The Wall Street Journal today. Climate change, $150 billion to hit the U.S. economy. Consequences will worsen unless more invested in clean energy and cities adapt to changing environments. So here we have it. You are going to die. Your economy is going to get destroyed if you don't print money. Every country is going to be printing money. They're going to announce this in, 2 or 3 weeks. Everybody's going to be printing money to save the world because we need 3 times the amount of solar power generation. We need 3 times the amount of electric vehicle production. And oh, by the way, we don't have 3 times the amount of silver. In a free market, what happens when you triple demand and supply is actually going down? Theoretically, in a free market, there would be a clearing of the buyers and sellers. You'd see silver at $4,000 or $5,000 an ounce, where it should be. Those of you who don't understand that haven't been paying attention for the last 170 years. That's how long they've been suppressing the price of silver. Since the opium wars in China. I've gone through it many times. But this is the end game of that. And now they can blame, we have to save the world. So we have to stop trading in COMEX derivatives? Make silver illegal to hold to save the world? Who knows? I don't know any silver bug who would give up their silver if Joe Biden says, I'm going to have to confiscate your silver. Good luck. Good luck, Joe. But that's where we're headed. Now, those of you who, there is an argument, a theoretical argument, that the U.S. government, all the governments stay together and jointly say, okay, we are going to, all these precious commodities needed to save the world, we are going to put restrictions on ownership of them. Could be. But, I mean, in the U.S., by law, they'd have to pay us fair market value. We don't know the fair market value of silver. I don't think anybody alive today has ever known what the fair market value of silver is. So we could see a point in where we have confiscation, nationalization, all that. Would that be good or bad? I don't know. In a global world, not everybody's going to take that path because it destroys the production of silver. If they nationalize silver mines, forget about it. Governments can't mine themselves. It's obvious. The best way to do it is have the free market do it. And if the free market works, can you imagine at, $1,000 silver, how many people would be out there trying to get more silver, digging it up out of the dirt every which way they can? That's how you solve the problem, free market. But right now, because you're rigging the price of silver so low, all these companies are going bankrupt. You're not going to have any silver. Oh, by the way, it takes, a good 10 years to get a silver mine up and running from scratch? I hope this is sinking in. This announcement come December that we have to save the world and triple the amount of production of solar panels and electric cars. There's just no silver for it. But it has to be done. So what has to arise? Either nationalization or price discovery. My hedge, I like to hedge my bets on a lot of things. Like on cryptos, I hedge my bet with Veritasium, the owner of, peer-to-peer contracts, the owner of DeFi. With Reggie Middleton, it's a great hedge against cryptos crashing because of government. But on the silver side, if you live in the U.S., the natural hedge is actually U.S. minted coinage. Because they cannot confiscate the coins of the United States of America by law. We have a constitution, believe it or not. And they wouldn't. There's just not enough out there. So if you want to hedge against nationalization, you live in America, get yourself some pre-65 coinage, or obviously my favorite, the Silver Eagle. All right. What would probably happen, and I've heard Jim Sinclair used to talk about this, is as the system implodes and gets destroyed, the United States government would say, okay, we'll pay you fair market value for your silver. How they determine that, I don't know. They set the price of gold at $20 in 1900, and then they changed that price from $20 to $35 in 1933. And by the way, that was the best thing that ever happened to gold miners, because miners were going out of business. And when they made that shift, remember, gold was money back then. When they made that shift, all of a sudden the miners were profitable. They had started even going, they wanted to go back into the Grand Canyon to get all that gold in the banks of the Colorado River, billions and billions of ounces. And yet, by 1933, they had locked up the entire Grand Canyon. All that area was national parks now. So nobody can go take a pebble out of there. It's also obvious when you stand back and look at it. So, anyway, yes, you're going to hear a lot about this. Oh, look, they put a little context thing. Climate change refers to long-term shifts in temperatures and weather patterns. I wonder why they put that. YouTube is trying to pump climate change. I didn't say anything bad. I did say crazy eco-leftists. COP28 is what it's called. I heard these agreements are already signed. This is all a formality, this meeting. Triple the amount of green energy production by 2030. If you've been following silver, there's no more left. There's no more left for industrial. So how much money does Apple Computer, how much are they going to spend to get enough silver to make enough iPhones, enough computers? How much will Elon Musk, of all people, spend to continue to make solar panels, to make electric cars? He's going to be bidding right against us, right against the governments of the world who have to buy massive amounts of silver to triple green energy production. If you want a scapegoat for why silver price went from $23 to $2,300, this is a good one. It's to save the world, of course. Force majeure on the COMEX. Just shut it down. Should be shut down anyway. Anyway, that's what I got. Yes, this is exciting, but it stopped right where we've been screaming, right? It just stopped right at the moving averages, right here. It's right there. We'll see. Will it run up like this and then go to $30 and Rustam Benham of the CFTC have a heart attack because silver's at $30? Will Jeff Christian bring out more videos? Silver's overvalued. Silver's overvalued. That freak. How about Jeff Curry? Sorry, he retired. Goldman Sachs' number one freak out guy in 2021 retires just before the silver explosion. I wonder why he retired. Again, bankers do not retire when things are going well. They get out or they disappear or commit, suicide by shooting themselves in the head 10 times when things are going bad. And things have never been worse than right now. All right. Two great discussions with Reggie Middleton about Veritasium. One's about an XRP roundtable. Oh, by the way, when you think about something like XRP, which is a cryptocurrency made by a couple techies for the banking system, and they claim to have all these banks that are bought in, no, they don't. First of all, the Federal Reserve would have to approve any type of thing, and the Federal Reserve ain't going to let these guys run away with it. And that's why with XRP, the owners of XRP, Ripple, these couple guys who invented it, have sold half of it. If it was such a great asset, they would have sold, 54 billion of the 100 billion Ripple? They've made out like bandits. And oh, by the way, when the derivative bubble pops, what are the banks required to do by law? If they are bankrupt, what are they required to do? If they don't have cash, what are they required to do? They're required to sell all their liquid assets. You're going to see, if any banks bought XRP, which I really don't think so, but if any did, as they melt down, they have to sell all their XRP, all their cryptocurrencies. By the way, they would only own, if they do own XRP, okay, fine. If they, mainly is just Bitcoin and Ethereum, truthfully, they would have to sell those. And what else do they have to sell? They don't own silver, but they own a hell of a lot of gold. So we could see a situation where as the banks melt down and are forced by law to liquidate everything, a huge liquidation of assets that a lot of people are investing in for the future. Gold, XRP, Bitcoin. I mean, yes, I do think Bitcoin will come out ahead in the end, but as the banks sell off all their Bitcoin, as BlackRock liquidates their Bitcoin that they got for their ETF. Oh, one more thing. Keeps bouncing in my head. A Bitcoin ETF, who owns the Bitcoin? It's not BlackRock. It's not the shareholders. It's not even the DTCC. It is Seed and Company. That mysterious entity in the background of the DTCC that would own all the Bitcoin that was bought by the BlackRock ETF. Wouldn't you like to be the legal owner of Seed and Company? It's owned by one entity, supposedly, one person, supposedly. So I'm told. An investigation was done in the 1970s that came out. Oh, it's one person. Everybody thought it was the Queen, but the Queen's gone now. So just think about that. And yeah, all the cryptos will go crazy if Bitcoin gets sold off because the banks are selling all their cryptos. Of course, the cryptos are the future, not the present, and not going to be that great during the transition. I don't think. But who knows? If you don't have them in your own possession, you're not sitting on the sidelines, you're screwed anyway. Everybody's watching for Snippy's deal. He's going to sell at 38,000 Bitcoin and then buy back at the bottom. Is his plan. God bless him. Yeah, selling at 38, you might want to do that. I don't know how you would buy at the bottom. The exchanges would be shut down. So I don't know if that strategy is going to work out. But who knows? Snippy's done some great moves, so keep an eye on it. All right. Again, 2 Reggie Middleton discussions, 1 XRP roundtable. By the way, XRP is in violation of the Reggie Middleton patent by far. Also, one with the very Dow. Litecoin Lisa, great job on that. They talk about patent pirates. Patents are so important in a free society. So you got to enforce the patents. If someone had an idea before everybody else and patented it, that should have some say. We'll see. The future's going to be really weird. So keep an eye on that. Veritasm's trading at like $25. If there's any crypto on the planet that you could see a move from, where it's been sitting forever to a 10,000x move type of thing, it would be Veritasm. All it takes is one announcement, because you go to Mercatox, which is pretty much the only place you can trade it. Very few are available. Of the 100 million that Reggie made originally, only 2 million are circulating, a little over 2. And of that, just a tiny amount are being sold on Mercatox. The rest are Veritasm hodlers. So what happens if the U.S. government says, what Cliff's data says, Reggie, come help us. These exchanges are all criminal. We need to implement peer-to-peer transactions in the stock market. And then what's the next sale? From $25 to $25,000 of a Veritasm token? Who knows? The chaos will prevail. Also, just to add a little, excitement to our lives, the mountain El Papo. That's all I know about El Papo, because I can't say that. Papapa kettle. Papapa kettle. The volcano in Mexico is once again spewing its ugly head. I think there will be a lot of earth changes coming up, along with the changes in the, and I'm talking like the next 6 months or so. Could be now. If this thing goes off, it's at 45 miles outside of Mexico. That's not good. But this has been threatening for a very long time, but it looks like there's a lot of action happening right now. So keep an eye out on the road to Ruta. I will be talking to Jenny again this weekend, or on Thursday. Go check it out. The Window of Time, the Silver Eagle Plan, Election 2024. This was from last week or 2 weeks ago. Bitcoin ETFs and the secret back door. Go check that out. This is Bix. I'll talk to you later.